Welcome back, everybody, to your three-man booth, week 4 of the NFL season. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud. The three of us are rolling through our ATS picks, which is excellent. I declared the actual season over for our New York teams last week. That seems accurate. So we'll talk more about that later. As for our picks, Phil, you are 4-2. Why don't you get us started with our week 4 picks?
We got to figure out how Bud can put our picks in for real over there in New Jersey since it's legal, because we're on fire, huh?
Great.
We tried. It didn't work.
And we're working on it. I'm trying to give my password. We'll try again. But,
okay.
I don't think it's any secret that the Giants are an absolute dumpster fire and can't stop anyone, can't score any points. And quite frankly, I'm embarrassed to even watch it anymore because, you thought Barkley going down was bad, and it just sucks. It's absolutely awful. I'll keep watching because, as Bud says, I'm a glutton and I like to be punished, but that doesn't stop me from picking against them. What's the spread? 13 and a half, I think I saw.
Oh,
here it is.
I thought it was 10 and a half.
12 and a half right now, I see currently.
Oh, you're right.
Give me the Rams. There's no reason why I should pick the Giants in this. I want to. The optimist in me said, they'll turn around. I don't see any evidence of this. Give me the Rams. And I'll lay the 13. I'd lay 13 too, but I'll lay 12 and a half. And then the other one I'm going to go with is Green Bay, playing Atlanta. Listen, when you blow 2 fourth quarter 15-point leads, and let's put it this way, if Devontae Adams played on Sunday, like I think he's going to play this Sunday, but if he played last Sunday, he would have had all of Allen Lazard's numbers and touchdowns and yards too. So I don't think he can't do that against a awful, non-existent Atlanta secondary. So give me Green Bay and I'll lay 7. That seems like a gift.
Yeah, I want to talk about Matt Ryan later because I don't know what his deal is right this now. Bud, you're sitting at 4-4, admirable for this crazy season to start. What do you got for week 4?
I'm going to take Cleveland over Dallas. Dallas is the favorite by, I think, 4.5 points. Yeah. I think what you're seeing in Cleveland is what we should be seeing with Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold. We're seeing young coaching, good coaching, and a quarterback that is progressing each and every week. Like, he did not play well against week 1. Nobody's been playing Baltimore good except for Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is on another planet. But each week you see Baker Mayfield getting better and better and better, and the offense is running better and better and better. And Dallas's defense, I'm not sold on Dallas's defense. They're right now, they're giving up points, they're giving up yards. So I think 4.5 is a bit ambitious. So I'm going to take Cleveland to win outright. It doesn't matter. And then the other game, remind me what my other game was, Dan.
Oh, all right, one moment.
All right, I'm having a brain fart.
You picked you. I think you're all about the Cardinals this year. You have the Cardinals to cover over the Carolina Panthers. I think you picked them all 4 weeks.
I'm not sold on Carolina, and I think Arizona will get back on track and win. I mean, that's nothing about Carolina's offense scares me. Robbie Anderson, by the way, former Jet, having a very good year. I think he's number 5 in the league in receiving yards. Obviously, the Jets didn't need him on their team.
Didn't need Bridgewater either.
Yeah. So so I'm gonna take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I like that. It was interesting last week. They ended up falling to the Lions, but I think they're still a good team. I am sitting at 5-1 on the year. I'm not going to brag because this could turn on a dime, but I'm feeling pretty good about my picks. I'm going to start with the Saints because they're got a huge chip on their shoulder. Everyone's betting, like, looking down on them. Is Drew Brees done? I don't think so. That's still a really good football team, and they are only giving up 4 points against a Lions team who lost 2 close games and then won a real close game. They're not as good or as bad as people think they are, depending on what side of the coin you're on. But New Orleans, I still think is a good team, and I'm okay giving up 4 points. I think this is a prove-it game for the Saints, and they kind of hand it to Detroit. I'm also going to take the 49ers at home, giving up points. They are playing the Eagles, who are a dumpster fire. The way that they tied the Bengals last week was just
– They played for the tie. They punted in overtime.
It was just pathetic. those two teams. Now, I mean, I didn't expect anything from Cincinnati with a rookie quarterback. They actually looked pretty good. But the Eagles, whew, the only saving grace is Carson Wentz's fantasy points. They're salvageable. But I'm picking against Philadelphia. I like the 49ers to continue winning. Mullins looked good last week, and they're going to get healthier, and they're not giving up a lot. They're at home. I like San Francisco.
The NFC East as a whole is just 2-9-1 right now. They have the worst winning percentage, and I thought I heard 20-something years. It's absolutely – be honest, Dallas should be 0-3, to be honest with you, because, again, we went through this last week, but they should be 0-3. Yeah. I mean, the Eagles playing for a tie. The Giants can't win a game, and Washington, I think, is in first place. I mean, this is incredible. And to be honest with you, Ron Rivera is about one game away from benching Dwayne Haskins' ass, too.
Well, they got Alex Smith, right?
Well, I don't think I'm going to see the field, but Dwayne Haskins has not played well. And they're in a very similar situation that I think the Jets are in right now. In regards to young quarterback play. Now, Dan, I think you and I are on the same page with this. You think that you may get some value if you trade Darnold. I look at it like you have a quarterback. He's in his third year. He's clearly not progressing. He's clearly not learning. He's clearly not being coached. He doesn't have the autonomy to make change of plays at the line of scrimmage. Adam Gase has come out publicly and said that he does not. To me, that you're cutting the legs out of your quarterback. You're undermining him. You're not allowing him to actually play the position. You're essentially turning him into a game manager under your philosophy, which your philosophy is garbage, because your offensive schemes are there's no way that an NFL offense can only score 7 points in a game when the other team has basically up. They pulled their starters midway through the third quarter, the Colts did, and they still dominated them.
You know what's funny? The Jets offense looked good in the first quarter. I mean, Sam threw a pick six, but they looked good. They moved the ball well. And
wasn't that almost the first play of the game again, too?
Yeah. But then he went right back. But then he marched right down the field, scored a touchdown, tied at 7. And they had the second possession. He looked good too. I think they missed a field goal or something. But the offense looks actually the best I'd seen in a room. But that's not saying much. It's just not. I agree. Adam Gase is killing Sam Darnold's chance at an NFL career because it's a bad fit. I mean, I'm not sure anybody would be a good fit with Gase, but I think Haskins is a bad fit for the Redskins offense. And Darnold's in a crap situation. I mean, if they fire Gase next week and Greg Williams comes in Friday, and Greg Williams comes in and Darnold's all the pressure's off, he can maybe call audibles. Maybe, I mean, they're not going to be able to change their offense because this is the one that everyone's learned. But maybe he can actually flourish this season and salvage something. But you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but general managers, they want their own players. They want the players they've drafted. And Darnold's from the old guy. And he's a holdover. And holdovers don't tend to last unless they play real well.
You're ruining this quarterback. I'm telling you. Listen, I was listening to the Michael Kay show on the way home, and they had Steve Young on. They have Steve Young on every Tuesday. Steve Young said that Ryan Tannehill has the potential to be a great quarterback. A great quarterback. 3 years ago, we were all putting Ryan Tannehill out to pasture and that he wasn't any good and he was a bust and all of this other stuff. Who was his coach?
Well, I'll tell you, just like a lot of things in life, your situation does everything for your career. And these guys, if they get paired with the wrong team, the wrong coach, it kills them. I mean, Gase definitely ran Tannehill into the ground.
So are you guys openly rooting for the Brett Rippon Denver Broncos on Thursday to win and win big?
Yeah, and I don't think the Jets will win. I think Denver will come in here and
Brett
they will
Rippon,
win.
Brett Rippon.
Phil, it does not matter.
I think that the Broncos win 6-3.
Nick Mullins came in the game 2 weeks ago. Nick Mullins hadn't played a snap in a year and a half, and he just marched San Francisco without their offensive weapons all over the field. It didn't matter.
Twice in 2 weeks.
Now, There's a situation every year where a team starts 0-3, 1-4, and makes the playoffs.
That's not
But
happening.
it's not these Jets. So winning a game does absolutely nothing for them. It keeps Gase's job, and it ruins their chance at a top. Like it hurts their top 5 pick potential. Like
Well, that's what Bud said last year. That's what Bud was harping on all of last year when they're going on that run. He goes, the only thing you're doing is you're saving his job when it shouldn't be there in the first place.
You know what it did? It gave Darnold some confidence, and it let him end the season on a high note and a winning streak.
Well, that's okay. I'm saying, but Bud's point was last year he's winning games and winning enough games to save the season. But you don't want to do that again this year, do you? Probably not.
Well, thankfully they got a great offensive lineman in the draft.
Right.
There's nothing worse than 8-8 in the NFL. There's nothing worse because you don't get a high draft pick, and you're out of the playoffs.
But Dan, like he's got you can't chalk this up to he's a bad quarterback. It's clear he's not getting coached right because the team isn't even prepared week to week. He has no weapons. He has no running game whatsoever. He has an offensive line that has been makeshift. And then the coach comes out after the game, says, well, I think, we didn't have a preseason, and I think, it affects our tackling and our – like, excuse me? Like, are these like not NFL players? Like, did you forget how to tackle when you were drinking Mai Tais in fucking Mexico? Give me a break. I don't need to hear the same excuses every week. You're unprepared. You cannot coach this football team. Your defensive coordinator it's not even close to being the same because you traded away your best defensive player. It's a joke. It's a joke. And if I swear, I hope if they win 6-3, I still hope they fire him.
I know. Here's the thing. I like Dan Darnold, and I do think that he can have a good career, but I'm not sure he can have a good career with the Jets. And so I mean, for his sake, they should trade him. For the team's sake, I mean, they don't have any other quarterback. If Flacco was sitting there healthy, they should just trade.
That's right. I forgot about him.
Trade Darnold and let Flacco come in and bridge the gap. I mean,
but he just said that he said today he's not benching Sam Darnold.
No.
How do you bench the quarterback that it's not his fault?
I don't even know why that was a question. Why was that a question?
but does he make boneheaded plays? Absolutely. But listen, he has no weapons. He has to force the ball into areas where there's 3 guys. You're throwing the ball to Berrios. Who's Berrios? He's a punt returner, and they now wide receiver too.
So, Bud, if you had an opportunity to watch just the first quarter of last week's game, I'd say do it. It'd make you so happy. The way Darnold was moving in the pocket, he must have made 5 guys miss sacks before he would drill it to those receivers who were actually catching it, thankfully. And it made Berrios look good. I mean, these guys that were no names actually looked good getting the ball from Darnold. And I see the good quarterback in him right there. I just don't know if it can last. And this season feels like a lost cause.
I agree with you, but they cannot sustain with the weapons that they have on this team.
No.
They spent $20 million on a tight end, a wide receiver, and an offensive lineman, and they've gotten no production out of any of them.
No,
Perriman's been on the field for 5 plays.
I know. Douglas's offseason moves, I mean, those guys haven't seen the field yet, so I don't know how you could say they're good or bad. But we're talking about not killing a quarterback's career. I want to give Phil an opportunity to chime in because Daniel Jones is in a similar situation where you don't want to kill his confidence with an awful, awful season because he's a young quarterback and you want him to feel good about the year, even though, I mean, they're in it. I guess they can still win the division, but it's just they don't look good, and the defense is not any better by all accounts. So
as good as not as good. That's the wrong word. As we saw glimpses of hope in the first couple of games. Yeah, they lost to Pittsburgh, good team. Who they played second week 2? I already forgot. The Bears. The Bears are 3-0. You can call it a fraud 3-0, whatever. They're 3-0. They had a chance to win that game at the end. It's like, all right, I can see a couple of things that are moving in the right direction. Last week, it threw it all out the window. I don't even know what I watched last week. It was just I turned it off in the third quarter and started watching Red Zone because what was it, 30-3 at that point or 39? I'm like, this is so. I'm not going to waste my time with this. As Bud says, you can look at the score in the first play of the game and saw you're down 7. You're like, why am I going to subject myself to this? I'm at a loss because everything that I thought was going in the right direction, it was thrown out the window. Now, that's not to say they can come out against the Rams of all teams that are playing next week and, put forth a better effort. I have no confidence in it right now. I have none.
Well, do you think
not the way the Rams are playing right now?
No, they looked good last week.
Right.
Do you think Joe Judge? This is his first head coaching job ever, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And he didn't have an off season. He didn't have a preseason. So
it's a combination of, and we're not going to make excuses, but yes, first year head coach, no preseason, a whole new scheme. Listen, it's just a hurricane of bad. I can't even think of a word for it. It's nothing's clicking right now, and you didn't have the time to put anything together, and you're doing it on the fly. So it's almost like you're in OTAs and rookie minicamp right now. By week 4 or 5, you're in preseason. By week 9, 10, okay, maybe you're in the first week of the season. Like, they're so far behind, and rightfully so. There's just too many new pieces to this.
And I'm wondering,
he's going to get not that he should get fired, because that's you're going to get a pass based on the circumstances. You lose Barkley, you lose Shepard. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
We were wondering how this offseason would affect the season, and it seems like it's either exposed to the rookie coach or the bad coaches, because the bad coaches have their teams thoroughly unprepared, like Gase. And I mean, you look at the NFC East, I don't think there's either rookies or bad coaches or old coaches. I mean,
you can make the case for Dallas because Mike McCarthy comes in, right, with a whole new scheme, but those guys have been together for years and years and years. You want to say the offensive line's a little deteriorating? Okay. But at least the core, the nucleus of that team has been there for 4 or 5 years now.
But McCarthy was sitting on the beach last year. He took so it's like he's a rookie again, maybe.
But McCarthy isn't the reason they're losing those games. That defense, that secondary is non-existent. They let the Rams storm all over them last week. Yeah, I know they made a comeback, but the Rams were out to a pretty big lead. And they were playing catch-up the whole time.
Yeah. I think what you're seeing, Dan, to your point, is the teams that are really good, we knew they were going to be good, and they didn't need a preseason. They've hit the ground running. The teams like Seattle and the teams like even Tampa is kind of figuring it out. New England, all of a sudden, teams like Buffalo that I was high on, and you guys were kind of on the fence about. Josh Allen has looked awesome. They were an up-and-coming team the last couple of years, and same coach, same system, confident quarterback. You see progress in the quarterback play, putting on the offensive side of the ball to give him an opportunity to make plays. The defense is always strong. And then to your point, you're seeing teams with really bad coaching, and they don't know how to tackle all of a sudden. And they're just making excuses for being bad football teams where the cream of the top, they're already there, and they're just Seattle was scoring 30-something points a game. Russell Wilson threw 5 touchdowns. Yeah. They didn't have a preseason. They're not excuses, and they are just pounding people.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of points, but it doesn't matter because they're scoring a lot.
Doesn't matter. That's what the Saints did a few years ago.
Well, Adams on that team, I can't tell.
Yeah, but you know what? They always say that the defense always will play a little bit behind the offense. You know what I mean? The offense is going to get clicked. It takes a little bit for the defense to get going. If that defense does get going and their offense is scoring 35 points a game, nobody is going to beat Seattle. Russell Wilson playing the best football he's played in his career.
Well,
Bud did say they're going to go 15-1.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want the Seahawks or the Bills to be good, but I'm not surprised. I think if you look at the standings right now, almost every division is exactly how we thought, except for the Vikings at the bottom, really surprising me. I mean, we all were hedging our bets on Atlanta, but Atlanta and the Vikings are probably the 2 biggest 0-3 surprises for me anyways. Everything
so
else.
What's worse? What's worse, being Atlanta or the Vikings, or being the 2 New York teams right now?
I
don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you.
I would say being the Vikings, because the expectations were high. In Atlanta, the expectations were higher. Nobody expected the Jets and the Giants to be any good. I don't think we expected them to be this bad, but I don't expect them to be very good.
No, I mean, Atlanta, didn't they have a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter in all 3 games, and they lost all 3 times? Like, it was utterly pathetic. Like, that's what I would say is Matt Ryan I mean, if this is how this continues, what does he have left to play for? He's not the reason they're losing, but he is because he's throwing late picks. It's all of a sudden the offense can't do anything when the game's late and they're trying to hold a lead.
It's almost like they haven't shooken the Super Bowl that they lost. It's almost like they haven't shooken that feeling. It's like they get up by double digits and they're like, here we go again. It's incredible.
Well, that coach has been on the hot seat. What's that?
Shooken or shaken?
Whichever one you want to call it.
That's a new Fairfield education right there.
There you go.
Shooken and shaken, it's the same damn thing.
That's a word for
We're having a presidential debate here. I'm sure that's what they were talking about, right?
I'm not going to get into it. Go ahead.
No, don't. I shouldn't have said anything. No, I think the coach of the Falcons is definitely on the hot seat. We agree that Jets coach is on the hot seat. Philadelphia's got a new coach, right? I mean, they just look terrible.
Not Philadelphia.
Oh, then he's on the hot seat for sure. I mean, because they're just looking atrocious.
But you know why he's probably not? Because he gave the city their first Super Bowl, so in their eyes, he can do no wrong. It's not like – I don't even know if Philadelphia's even – I haven't even heard anything about Philly or Atlanta being on a hot seat. I've only heard of Gase being on the hot seat right now as the only coach. I don't know if that's just, Northeast bias media that I'm reading, but I haven't heard any other coach really on the hot seat.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz has not played well, but he's also lacking weapons too. I mean, let's not fool ourselves here. I mean, when he was playing really well 4 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, he had talent around him. He had a running game. He had wide receivers. He had a really good defense. Those things are lacking right now. I don't know if it's coaching or if it's talent. You can tell that there's coaching problems, which is the Jets, and then there's talent problems, right? Like I think that there's just
They just drafted that one, right? They just draft poorly? I mean,
it could be.
I agree with you, bud, because I watched the end of that game, and Wentz was the reason that they went to overtime. He's the reason that they had a chance to win. He ran for a touchdown. He was scrambling, making plays. The offensive line can't protect him.
Right.
Unfortunate.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of decent quarterbacks in bad situations right now, and they're looking terrible for it. I mean, some of these guys are going to lose their jobs for sure.
Hey, Mr. Trubisky's not seeing the field again, in Chicago at least.
No, but I'm amazed he started the season. So,
well, he was the incumbent, so.
But he didn't even show a damn thing last season that deserved to keep him the job.
Well, they gave him a chance.
They were just waiting to find the right time. The fact that they won the first two games. He played great in the second half of the first game. The second game when he played the Giants, he did not play well.
Yeah.
And obviously he was not playing well. And then Nick Foles comes in, and all of a sudden Nick Foles looks like he did when he played for the Eagles. If Nick Foles stays healthy and he has weapons around him, Nick Foles is a really good quarterback. He's very good. And with that defense, Chicago will win games.
There's a lot of people expecting Foles, though, to waffle up and down too, because he's been a journeyman. And so then they think Trubisky will get the job again later in the year. I don't know.
No,
probably
no
not.
way.
I've read that over at ESPN.
The only guy that can hold off anybody over his shoulder is Fitzpatrick. He's the only one that can keep a job. It's incredible.
Tua.
I was going to say, when do you think Tua is going to play? Because Fitz has not. Fitz has played great.
That guy he's better than Brady at his age, right? I mean, not really, but.
No, you can make that statement.
It's funny how well he has that team. But I actually like that coach in Miami. They didn't have a lot of talent last season, but he did a lot with a little. And they're in the right direction, which is more than we can say about the Jets and Giants right now.
But think about how negatively people think of Miami, right?
I know. And
you just said it. They're going in the right direction. We have a 23-year-old quarterback. A 23-year-old quarterback. Joe Burrow is older than Sam Darnold.
Oh, see that's good, bud. That puts things in perspective. Because like I said, I didn't publish my article about trading Darnold yet, but I really would like him to succeed as our quarterback. But we have to get a coach that knows what he's doing.
So Keyshawn. So again, Michael Kay. I listen to a lot of sports radio. Michael Kay had Keyshawn on. And Keyshawn, in his rookie year, went 1-15. You know who his coach was? Rich Coach. Okay? Rich Coach said couldn't. He said, and I quote, couldn't coach a goldfish to hit the other side of the bowl. Okay, that's what he found it. The next year, the same team, the exact same team, same talent. The next year, they hire Bill Parcells as the coach. They go 9-7. Yeah. Same exact. It's coaching. I'm telling you, if they have the right coach in the right scheme, you can make the players play.
I know. That's what Greg Williams did with our defense last year. He had a couple extra talent on there, but he coached that defense well, which is one of the main reasons they did go on a winning streak. I got to say it because it's the elephant in the room, but Trevor Lawrence, if he's a better quarterback than Darnold, do we want him? Or like that, do we draft a running back like the Giants did when they got Barkley? Is that running back going to be available next year? I don't know, because there's so few college games this season. Do you even want that number one pick outside of Lawrence? Is there any sure things? It's a real loaded question.
It's a loaded question. I would say this: they have 3 first-round picks next year.
Yeah.
So if they were to get the first overall pick, they would be foolish not to get Trevor Lawrence. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you draft another quarterback. If you think that Trevor Lawrence is the guy, then you draft Trevor Lawrence as the guy. Look at what Arizona did. Arizona drafted Josh Rosen with the 6th pick, and then the next year they drafted Kyler Murray with the number 1 pick. Obviously, that's the route they went, and I think it's working out for them.
Yeah.
The only option that I would say that the Jets would need if they have one, if they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, is they need an outside pass presence. They haven't had an outside rusher since John Abraham, and John Abraham hasn't been on the team for 15 friggin' years.
Yeah, but see, that guy's not the number 1 pick this coming season, so they would trade that then. Someone else wants Lawrence, which is
that's fine.
Either. Yeah.
Then you stock out picks, then you can get 5 first-round picks. It doesn't matter to me, but if you're not sold on giving up on the quarterback and you're giving up on the coach.
Yeah. I know, Phil, I'm not going to ask you the same question because I can tell you don't want to answer it. It's been 3 years in a row. As a Giants fan, that's way too long. We're kind of used to it. So, but
the Giants, on the other hand, I think are in from all the things I listed before: new coach, new scheme, new players on both sides. I don't know whose fault this is. I couldn't even answer that right now. I mean, you want to call it offensive line not blocking. You want to call it Daniel Jones not protecting the ball. You want to call it, a defense can't stop anyone. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So I don't know if the Giants get the number 1 pick, then I think you trade it.
Right.
Because you have so many holes. Picking Trevor Lawrence is not going to fix anything.
So the problem that we're both facing is that we have to assume that we have a decent general manager, because both of our teams have had quite a number of top 10 picks in the last 5 years. And neither of us have good football teams. So the Jets have this is the second year for Douglas, right? Second year. He had a first draft, second off season. There's 1.5. So I'm willing. I mean, I feel like GMs have a 5-year plan. I don't know how far the Giants are into their GM. I don't know if you know.
I mean, he drafted Barkley, drafted Jones, he drafted Andrew Thomas, who's not supposed to play left guard. He's playing left guard because Nate Solder left. He's supposed to be right guard. Tackle. The guard last year, Will Hernandez, I think will be fine, but I see the plan as building from the inside out, and it takes a couple of years to do that.
Well, and perhaps now, so he got his coach this year in year 3, so you have to see a huge jump in year 4 from this team, or the GM is just not building right. I mean, I think that's kind of, if that's the formula, 5 years, you need to see something in year 3 and 4. Now, they have a rookie coach in year 3, so it's tough to say. But
right.
Most GMs don't even get that much leash. The Jets GMs normally get 2 years. So I'm hoping that Douglas gets a little bit more of a leash, because it's hard to build a winner when you're starting in the gutter and not get a couple of years worth of time. But again, I mean, fire Gase. He's just I loved writing your headlines, Bud, because I don't feel like he's left the Jets any other option. So any other teams we want to talk about? Oh, sorry.
Even if they win this week, I still think that he's got to get fired on Friday. If they put a lackluster performance in front of them, and say they win 6-3, some cockamamie stupid score, it hasn't shown us that he's progressing the offense. He's got to go. I'm sorry, 1 win is not going to salvage anything.
So it's a short week, Thursday night. I mean, I could see either team blowing out the other team because Denver's got a new quarterback on a short week. The Jets on a short week are going to be even more unprepared. I'm prepared for anything. I don't really have any idea what's going to happen on that football game.
Is it me, or do the Jets have this Thursday night game like the first 3 or 4 weeks every single year? I feel like it's always like week 2. This year happens to be week 4, but I feel like they're always in that early time slot.
No, they are. Probably because they aren't quite bad enough for nobody to carry yet.
That could be.
They want to give them the primetime game. So, I don't think they're on Monday this year. Maybe they are.
They are. They have one. Everybody has to have a Monday and a Thursday.
Oh, okay. So, any other teams you want to touch on? Otherwise, I'll circle back on my Darnold thought for why. I mean, it makes sense to trade him, even though I don't want them to.
So I do have one question for both of you. This is something that we talked about over the summer.
Oh, yeah.
You're now starting to see cases of COVID. How is this going to, affect the NFL? Said today they're still planning on playing this game on Sunday. I personally think that you're just adding fuel to the fire. I mean, it's clearly out there. There's a team that has multiple players on it.
So I think they tested all. They had 8 or 9 tests positive today, the day of our show, but they'll all get tested tomorrow. And I don't know, do they have the 2-day in a row negative rule for it to let it pass? So, I mean, there's a chance false positives.
But I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I thought the virus is 14 days.
No, right.
Not so much anymore.
But there's errors in the testing. So, like, these could be false positives. So I think maybe it was baseball that did this. But, like, just because you test positive one day, if you test negative the next day, okay, then you got to test the third day. And if you're positive again or negative, you need 2. They require 2 negative tests in a row.
Well, the good thing was, from what I heard earlier, I think I mentioned it, there was no Minnesota Vikings tested positive. So that's probably a good sign.
Absolutely. But you can't let the Titans play a new team if you can't let those players play. So maybe those 3 or 4 players.
I'm interested to know who they were. Were they guys just standing on the sidelines, never in the game? I think I heard today one of the coaches actually tested positive on Saturday, didn't even make the trip to where they play Minnesota. So it's almost like they kind of knew, but they kept them kept them behind. As far as the NFL letting them play, I'm hoping they know more than they are telling us right now. And they're like, all right, we deem this, fine to do.
I don't think that they can let the guys that tested positive play. They can let the team.
I'm curious. I think it was only 3 players and 5 personnel people. I don't know, but we don't know who it was. It wasn't Tannehill or anybody big like that, or else we knew about it by now.
Well, no, it might be private until proven otherwise. But, like, I could see them. They shut everything down today, right? I could see them retesting everybody tomorrow, and then if it's the exact same results, then all the players that were negative can go back to work because it was 2 negatives in a row. And then the guys that tested positive have to stay home.
Let's just hope it's a blip.
But this is not like baseball, guys. I mean, this is not like, you could play a double header one day and you can make up games. Like, if there's a serious outbreak, and let's say tomorrow 3 more players test positive on Tennessee, now we have a major problem on our hands. You're going to have to cancel the game on Sunday, right? Because you can't take the risk of somebody being asymptomatic and then they go in and they're playing Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden now Pittsburgh's got 15 people on it. There's nowhere in the calendar to make these games up.